Coach, I asked Claudell and Keyshawn both about obviously the rebounding got better in the second half and kind of closed that gap some. But what was kind of your message to the guys after the rebound in the first half?
Yeah, that was a big topic of conversation at halftime, as you can imagine. I've been harping on rebounding, especially the last 2 weeks heading into the game portion of the schedule, because we're different. I've been telling everybody it's going to be different. We don't have as much physicality or girth, and those guys that have been playing the last 2 years, they're not here. They're not walking through the door, and we're going to have to rebound by committee, and everybody's going to have to help. If it's just checking down, if you're a guard, it's just chip checking someone. Everybody's got to be involved, and we obviously haven't prepared them very well for that. And to have one offensive rebound at halftime, and to have given up the offensive rebounds that we did, we're down 21-14 overall, and the percentages weren't very good either. And it got a little bit better in the second half, but I don't know if it could have got much worse. So it wasn't like, it was a big topic of conversation after the game that we had figured it out. But it's something that will be addressed, obviously, as we get back to the floor.
We'll go to Robbie, second row middle, and then we'll go back to the cameras.
Early thoughts on what Claudell was able to do tonight to compliment, Josh?
He had a great night. He can really get it going. He gets it off quick. He's got a beautiful stroke. He's got a lot of confidence. And the thing that stuck out to me, I leaned into the coaches on the bench middle of the second half, and I said, the guys that are in the best shape are playing the best. And you can look at the box scores and figure out who that was. And they're the guys that win the sprints and dig in a little bit more, and it shows up on game day, because those guys played really, really well tonight, and you can see it in their body language. Guys were gassed a little bit more than others, which is typical for opening night. I told them before the game that you're in great practice shape, but game shape's different. You got to kind of find your sea legs, if you will, and we had some of that tonight too.
We'll go back into the cameras in the blue shirt.
Coach, you played almost your entire lineup tonight. What does it say about the depth of this team and how they perform?
Well, we'll see. One game, can't draw much conclusion for that. It was nice that it unfolded that way. We were able to play, like you said, multiple guys, double-figure minutes, get guys some much-needed game experience, play a bunch of different lineups, have different rotations, which is great. Certainly, it's not going to be that way, all year long. Who knows if that'll happen again? But when it does, it's a luxury to get guys out that we kind of know what they're made of and what they're going to give us, and get these other guys, some more minutes on the floor.
We'll go Brian, second row, to coach's left.
Coach had 17 steals tonight, turns into 31 points off of turnovers. Do you think were you pleased with how active you were defensively in this game?
For the most part, without watching the film, and I just talked to the Raider guys about it, we're going to have to be. We just don't have a ton of rim protection. We don't have a ton of just girth, just wide bodies, around the basket. So we've got to be so good out front with our tenacity and our positioning and our hands, and to overcome the lack of size, and to overcome, right now anyway, our defensive rebounding. We got turnovers got to be a big part of what we do, and we're trying to be more handsy and more aggressive at point of attacks, and it worked out tonight, but we'll see.
We'll go Sam, Benjamin, and David, all front row middle.
With Claudell and Josh tonight, there's only one performance that we've seen, but you've seen them kind of working together all summer. What do you think maybe is the ceiling with those two guys working together? Could they possibly be one of the better guard duos in the SEC?
Oh gosh, that's so far away to think about. They had a great night tonight. Claudell came off the bench and gave us a big spark. And I love Claudell Harris. I love what he's about. He made a conscious effort this summer to buy in. It was like, you talk till you're blue in the face about that to kids all the time. And he did it. It wasn't a gradual deal. He just decided one day, I'm all in. And he's been preparing very, very hard. He's been working his tail off. Do I expect him, to have 20 and 6 threes every single night on 11 shots? No. Would I like it? Heck yeah. But, I'd probably pretty big expectations. I think other guys, can do that too. It was his night tonight. but other guys that were on that floor tonight have runs in practice, and we've been talking about we're gonna be able to shoot the ball, better this year. I don't know the numbers, maybe Matt does, he's smarter than me, and it's his job. We made 14 threes, I don't know, in 2 seasons.
How since you've been here,
Yeah, how many times we've ever done that, and I guess it's 0. Now, I'm not saying we're gonna make 14 threes every single night, but it's nice to know that, the recruiting paid off, and we got more guys that are capable of turning the scoreboard and helping us offensively.
What was the message to the guys after West Georgia was making that run toward the end of the first half and cut it to within 3?
Yeah, we called timeout and just talked about settling down a little bit and getting back to how we built the lead, and had some comments about when you sub and the score goes the wrong direction, it's not good for your future minutes. You got to go in there and hold your own and get the score going in the right direction.
Go ahead, David.
There were a fair number of, quick release shots in the first half especially, but it looked like the second half guys were making second, third, fourth passes and still getting the open 3-pointers off. Were you pleased with the way they looked for each other and found those openings to shoot from?
Hey, this group, for the most part, every single day has been very unselfish. Sharing the basketball has been a big positive for us all summer, all fall. We were giddy about it as a staff, like, man, they're sharing the ball. They're doing it. Even in the closed door scrimmages, they shared the ball, and it says a lot about the character of them. And hopefully that will continue. I thought the second half, we had a couple shots that I thought were just okay, but for the most part throughout the game, we took a ton of shots, 65, and I probably had a handful of them that we would take back. But overall, it was pretty good that way.
Jacob to the first row of coaches, to coach's right, and then we'll go back to the second row with Brian and Robbie.
Coach, Keyshawn gets the start tonight. What did you think of his performance?
He started because he deserved to start. He's had as good an off season as anybody in our program. From June, the first week of June till today, no one's had a better off season. He's been bringing it every day. He's got a great approach every day, and people that know him personally couldn't be more excited for him. He's had a lot of injuries and mishaps along the way. It's been a rough start to his college career. He's a redshirt junior, but he's not an experience. And I was so happy for him to, make the plays that he did. He played a ton of minutes in the first half because of Matthews' foul trouble, which was talked about after the game. In a funny way, he set himself up. He said, "Coach, put number 1 up there for the first win." So I did a little #1, and then I put 2, and he goes, "Well, what's that for?" I go, "That's the number of fouls you get the first 10 minutes of every game we play." I said, and it needs to change. But Murph, yeah, he's obviously got a ton of talent, and it's nice to see him get it on the floor.
Again, Brian and Robbie in the second row to coach's left.
Sticking with Keyshawn there, I asked him when's the last time he led his team in assists in a game. He couldn't remember one. Can he be that kind of facilitator for you throughout the season, you think?
Absolutely. He's got great vision. He's got good feel. He obviously can see over the defense at times, depending on who's guarding him. Like last year with Cam, we did a lot of point forward looks, if you will, with him, and we'll probably do that with Murph and see how it goes. But he's got a great skill set with length and positional size, and we're going to try to take advantage of it.
Got time for a couple more.
You talked about what you might be missing in the post, but I mean, you have a plethora of guys in the backcourt, and I imagine, recruiting transfer portal, it's tough to find guys that have done it before coming in and kind of adding their, I guess, what they do to the mix. Going back to Claudel, there are already some established guys here. What was that process like getting him here? You talked about the buy-in too. I mean, what's that process been like for him?
Yeah, recruiting is what it is. It's we're eyes wide open. We get the depth chart out and show them everybody and talk about where they're at, and we don't try to hide anything, and just real blunt and having conversations about it. But obviously we're recruiting because we believe they can move the needle, especially when it comes to an older portal kid, and in most kids like that are going to make good decisions and probably put themselves in positions where they're needed. And for these guys that have joined us, they were needed. We haven't been shooting the ball, very well, in the first 2 years. If you take out Hubbard last year, then we really struggled from the three-point line the first 2 years. So I think that probably has something to do with it.
Go back to Paul to coach's left.
He wasn't that much of a factor offensively in either half, but it seemed like in the second half, Riley Kugel kind of settled in a little bit more on the defensive end, and I think he ended up with 4 or 5 rebounds and really showed a want to on the glass, and obviously that was a big part of the second half. What did you kind of see from him in his first game?
Yeah, he just struggled a little bit first half. It just didn't go his way. He didn't do anything that, I was like, man, what are you doing, internally. He didn't. It just didn't unfold for him on the offensive end for whatever reason. It's just hard sometimes when you're coming off the bench and guys got to flow and you don't. And he was struggling. But I was real proud of him in the second half because he stuck with it. And like you said, he made some plays, defensively. The one play that was I remember the most that I was excited for him was when he sprinted back, and he got involved in a play at the rim when, I think months ago he would have jogged back and not, applied the effort that was required to make a play like that. But he's as talented offensively as anybody we got. If you combine, everything that goes into being an offensive player, passing, shooting, strength, power, getting to the rim, he's got all the talent in the world. It doesn't take, a basketball coach to see it. It's just he's got to get it on the floor somehow.